Welcome everybody to the Regen community call. We've got some actually pretty interesting stuff to share. There's a lot moving. I was hoping to get the forum post to be able to share with folks, but I'll be giving you some significant alpha about what's coming next. What we're hoping comes next. So let me just get into screen share mode here. All right. So welcome everybody to February 16th. I think a lot of folks are at ETH Denver. I know from our team, or people are cranking. So we are on a big sprint right now, and I'll tell you what is being worked on. Regen Ledger 2.2. So the engineering team is really cranking hard. They shipped a beta release of Regen Ledger 2.2 yesterday, and they've started doing a bunch of testing. And there's a governance proposal draft that's going to be up in the forum by the end of the day. And hopefully people will go and check in on that. I'll be tweeting about it. Basically, what we're shipping is what we're calling currently, and we actually want to do a little, maybe we can have a naming conversation, but we're calling it right now the basket module. And this basically allows you to sort according to credit class, credit type, and vintage of an ecological credit, and turn it into an IBC token and put it out into the IBC economy. Why do we want to do this, and why are we doing this quickly right now? Well, because we want to bring the nature-based carbon ton that we helped Toucan launch over on Polygon into the interchain world. And so we've been chatting with our Osmosis community members, and we're aiming to launch a Regen NCT trading pair over on Osmosis with a whole group of folks. So we want to ship this up onto Regen Ledger so that we can sort of get this first. I mean, I've never been a big fan, disclaimer, of like the Vera-based carbon tons. But at the same time, there's liquidity there, and people are hungry for, this, just like to start playing with carbon assets to do different things in DeFi. So we want to get something out there while the rest of us in the community are building novel and interesting and better eco credit types. Let's just get this out and get this moving. So Regen Ledger 2.2 is going to enable that to happen. So that should be a pretty significant and interesting thing. So we're chatting again with Osmosis community. Expect over the course of this week to have a Regen Network proposal going live probably on Friday, but some forum posts later today, just to have all the details, the technical specs, the approach, what's going on. There's also testing that's taking place to make sure everything's hardened. So again, Regen Ledger 2.2, there'll be no breaking changes. This isn't a chain breaking or API breaking upgrade. This is simply the addition of a module that allows you to sort of turn eco credits into IBC tokens, essentially, according to a filter. So that's going to be pretty awesome. And again, with the aim to get NCT, and I'll talk a little bit about what is NCT here. But again, I've been speaking about the basket module. I sort of through this slide, and I've already said all these things. What it does, I wanted to just share a little bit about naming. We've been thinking of renaming it from basket, because one thing this is definitely not is like, it's not a commodities basket. This isn't like a managed basket anyway. It's simply a filter that allows you to set criteria and turn eco credits into IBC tokens, into IBC compatible tokens according to a criteria, such as all Vera credits from 2012 onward, which is what the NCT standard is Vera nature-based carbon from 2012 onward. All can be considered NCT, nature carbon ton, which was, I'll get to that in another slide. So people have ideas. What should we name this? Should we name it the wrapper, or the bundler, or the credit filter module, or the amalgamator, or the I don't know, like what should we, because we don't want people to be confused, because it isn't like a commodities basket or something. It's not that kind of like financial instrument. So maybe we can spend some time together on that in the call. It might be interesting. And if you want to track what's going on, you can see the issue. The engineering team is cranking away right there in issue 732 on Regen Ledger in our GitHub. Okay, so what the heck is NCT? So Regen Network Development Incorporated, R&D, and Toucan, and Moss, and the BICOWG working group have been working on kind of just creating an interchain nature-based carbon ton standard, similar to the base carbon ton that was created around Klima launch. Gathered a bunch of people, discussed what vintages made sense, if there was going to be opinionation, any opinions about excluding or including specific methodologies. And essentially what was decided is, it's just right now, nature carbon ton is simply anything that's on the Verra registry that's considered a natural solution. And there's a list of that, of nature-based solutions and Verra registry from 2012 onward, with a 10-year rolling upgrade. So next year, it'll be 2013 and on. The next year, it'll be 2014 and on. So it's just sort of like tracking a 10-year window of Verra carbon tons. In the future, NCT hopefully will include other types of assets as well, maybe if it makes sense, or there'll be other tokens, like the Carbon Plus token, for instance, which is different. Like we have our different methodology that we think maybe is better in different ways, or maybe there's a gold standard one, or maybe they get lumped together. These are decisions for the future. We would welcome input and ideas. For now, we just wanted to be able to bring some liquidity into the interchain world, because validators are asking to offset, blockchains are asking to offset, people want Carbon to start building DeFi applications. So we just really wanted to get some carbon tons into the interchain marketplace. So again, we're rushing this basket module to just make sure that we can have IBC tokens that represent those initial eco credits, which are like the fractional NFT representation of that carbon certificate itself. We've got sort of the pipeline, and in the future, Toucan actually is going to have an integration so people can just mint straight from Verra onto Regen Ledger, which will be super cool. But that's going to happen in the future. And for right now, it's just all command line interface. And we'll be working with a big group of people to basically do initial liquidity provision so that there's carbon tons around to do this initial bit. If you want to know more about the nature-based carbon ton, you can check out this blog that we contributed to. Again, as I mentioned, there'll be a bridge coming that makes a nice UI for people to be onboarding these credits, as well as, of course, we'll have the UI for eco credits of whatever sort, whether they're the Jaguar credits or agroforestry credits or all the amazing things people are working on. This is actually meant to complement that, so that there's existing market demand and sort of people are understanding. We started realizing people don't really get what's going on, so we want to bring something to the interchain marketplace as quickly as possible, and osmosis specifically. Okay, shifting gears a little bit, just shout out to Era and Econavi. The Era team sent this along just as a what's an eco credit, nice little graphic. I thought it'd be fun to share. We're going back and forth to just kind of chat more about, credit, some of the things that we think might be useful to consider, but it's really cool. It's really great. So this is an eco credit essentially. And the just like an NCT is going to be a CO2 equivalent ton. The credit class is going to be the NCT Verra, like the Verra and set of methodologies. That's the credit class. And then the batches will actually be the specific vintages of those credits. So you always have all of the information about the project and the issuance detail in anything that's getting issued on Regen. All right, well, this week's Regenerati News Hour, just kind of cooking along. I'm going to be in the air, traveling to East Denver. I'm giving a talk on Saturday and attending the Shelling Point on Friday, and meeting up with the Regen, some of the Regen team members, including Dan, to just do some co-working. So I won't be around for Regeneration News Hour, but there will be a great show. And if anybody wants to talk about what they're up to, ping Dan and he can put you in touch with Rebecca to help organize the news hour. So, you know, if people are interested in hopping on and using that stage as an opportunity to share about what you're up to, please, by all means, let us know. Just as usual, the market cap and liquidity report we do every couple of weeks, just so you've got that in front of you. And do you want to just give folks the quick what's going on with Testnet's update?
Yeah, so as Gregory was mentioned, or had mentioned, we will be doing the 2.2 upgrade. So with that, of course, we need to update our test nets. Redwood will be updated shortly after the proposal is submitted on chain. So I'm also going to be in Denver, and so is Ryan. So I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do that this weekend, but definitely by Monday or Tuesday, we're going to go ahead and submit an on-chain proposal for Redwood. It only takes a couple of days. There aren't really too many validators right now, so you know, it's me and the Vitwood team will be able to just perform the upgrade pretty easily. That's Redwood. Hambach is having some strange issues, so we're going to be upgrading that to, well, actually 3.0 beta once that's cut. So 2.2 took a little bit of precedence over that, so it'll probably be about a week or two. I know that Ryan was saying it's just a couple of pull requests that they need to finish up, and then we'll have Hambach ready to go again. I do want to mention that we upgraded Redwood to where now there's no allow list, so anybody can go on there and play with the eco credits module. You can make yourself a credit class creator and start playing with that right there on Redwood. So really, at this point, there's no need for Hambach until it launches again.
Fantastic. Thanks, Dan.
Uh-huh.
All right, so I'm going to shift out of screen share mode, and yeah, we'll take a quick breath, a quick pause, see if there's questions. We did a big overview here of Regen Ledger 2.2, which is pretty exciting. I think this is the first time we're mentioning it in public. There's about to be forum posts. There's, I think, going to be lively conversation. We'll get to chat about, you know, what we're thinking and why it's interesting. But yeah, feel free to share any thoughts that you've got. Oh, Ishmael's got some good, the credit collection, credit selection, credit assembly, credit kit. Nice. Credit assets, credit kit.
I kind of like credit kit. It just has like a credit kit. It sounds kind of cool.
You can't do anything if you don't have the full kit.
It's true. I sort of feel like maybe it's like, maybe we could use like export. It's like because it is for making it into an interchain asset. So it's like the export module maybe. That's a thought. Any other ideas? Just to take a subset. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it is specifically, you know, it allows you could potentially, like, people could potentially make like what, you know, we used to call, or what we may end up calling, a basket. You could have a basket that's like all credit classes and all vintages, right? And everything would qualify. You could do that. I don't think that would be advisable, because then you're like mixing way too much together. But just to like give people a sense of what the functionality is. Or you could just be a single credit class and a single vintage, so you could make a basket for a very specific thing as well. So that's a functionality. I think of it like a wrapper. It's or like a package. It's like a box. You know, you're like putting your credits in so you can take it out the door. You know, throw it in. You know, throw it in the truck. Cool. Other questions or ideas or thoughts that people have, or any conversations that folks want to bring up here while we're together?
Hey, yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Awesome. Yeah, this is kind of a different topic, but I was surprised to see that image there. We've been trying to work a lot on the biodiversity credit type,
Yeah.
and trying to figure out what would the primary indicator for this be. What would be parallel to the metric ton of carbon in the carbon credit type.
Yep.
Because it's not so easy to quantify these biodiversity indicators compared to a ton of carbon. It's a ton of carbon. And whatever methodology you use to ascertain how much carbon is being sequestered, great, but we have a certain unit, a ton of carbon. In the biodiversity sense, this is kind of what we've been mulling over, is like, how do we quantify something that has so many different variables and indicators and methodologies to approach an ecosystem and its services that it's providing. So one of the standards that we've kind of looked at so far is like, okay, well, all of these different biodiversity projects have space in common, or area. So perhaps like the common denominator between all the different types of methodologies that are going to approach the question of biodiversity is the space, the common space, or the amount of ecosystem that is under protection or under development, or having interventions and development happening to increase the ecological services. So yeah, interested to hear what your thoughts or feedback might be on that.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, yeah, so it would be sort of, I would think of it in a similar way as I think, actually carbon units probably should be more thought of in terms of like a ton year instead of just a ton, especially in living systems. There needs to be like a length of time and a unit. I think, I would say that that's similar here, where you might want to have a, I don't know, a meter year or something. Because ultimately, I think what you're saying is that all of this is a conservation based approach in which there's a guarantee that the land use is going to follow some specific criteria that has been shown to support biodiversity, to continue to support biodiversity. So that's one thought. I also think you can be more abstract and just call it like the Jaguar Biodiversity Unit, and then it could be later on that you get into telling people exactly what that means. And I don't personally think at this stage, I kind of maybe, and I'm a heretic in this way, but I think it's okay if there's sort of like not fully standard, like it's okay if there's a few different approaches to biodiversity crediting. And some of them could be like meter years or something like that. And others could be maybe more a measurement of the density of biodiversity or something. And that there's like this ongoing density, or some of it could be a measurement of the specific, animal or the holistic health. And so I think it's actually good that people take different approaches. So I wouldn't, if I were you, I would ask more, what makes sense to express what's important in the context you're working, not stress too much about what you think other people are going to end up coming up with to try to make it somehow standard already.
Okay, and also I guess to add to that would be to not look at how carbon was done, to keep that standard use case for each credit type that is going to be deployed on Regen Ledger, but look at it as there could be various credit types as the base for the multiple classes that will come within them. So we don't need to define the primary indicator for biodiversity.
Well, I mean, I think you want to define your primary indicator. I don't think you need to take responsibility for defining the primary indicator.
Okay.
So if it's like, maybe it's Jaguar years, maybe you have a methodology that's like the number of Jaguar years that are able to be supported in terms of like lifespans or something. I don't know.
So
and that's
then,
the unit, but that's unique. That's not going to be about something somewhere else that's about, you know, I don't know, some boreal forest ecosystem preservation or something, right? It'll be
right.
different.
And that's going to be at the credit class level that we would
That-
define these Jaguar years. And then at the type level, the biodiversity type, that's kind of still undefined because we haven't.
Well, no, it
created
would
that
be
yet.
like era econavi biodiversity. That would be the type.
Oh, okay. Its own type. Okay.
I mean, you guys would be. I think you'd be setting a type that would be associated with the unit, like Jaguar, like Eco Jaguar would be the type or something. And then the you know, and the class would then be, you know, well, maybe I'm confusing myself. I think you would say maybe it would actually be better to say, because look, there's gonna be different carbon types.
Mm.
There's carbon removals, for instance, and there's avoided emissions, and those are two different types of carbon
Mm-hmm.
right off the bat. So there isn't really a unified carbon approach, even like globally. Like a carbon removal isn't the same as an avoided emission, and people don't pay the same for it. And the same is going to be true of biodiversity units, I think. So you know, I would encourage you to think about, to maybe think about it from that perspective. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate that feedback because it's going to be very beneficial for you know, the time and the way that we're thinking about approaching this problem and looking for a good solution that's going to ultimately protect more ecosystems and help meet some of the goals for the global goals that we have for biodiversity, so urgent and crucial at this time. So awesome. Look forward to working on this more and appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, definitely. And excited to see what you guys come up with, and happy to try to connect you also. Of course, I mean, you already know all the right people, but connect you with the science team to think about that as well.
Yes, indeed. Awesome. And actually, speaking of connection, just one thing I'd like to know. I had reached out to a couple people within the Regen team on Discord, but I've been struggling a little bit to get responses. In one person, for example, it's in the previous conversation we had, 2 weeks ago, that I said I would try and get some resources and insights to Giselle concerning some of the methodologies on grazing, because Econavi has links to people who do agroforestry combined with, grazing, livestock, and so on. But well, she's one example of someone who, I wrote on Discord and didn't get an answer. Is there a better way I should go about this, or?
Good question. I'll definitely ping Giselle. I mean, I think some of us get sucked between our internal
can
Slack
imagine.
and Discord. I've been threatening to just delete our Slack.
Yes, I would say in Giselle specific, I would say probably reaching out via email is better for her.
Okay.
But yeah, you can just hit me up and I'll get.
I
you
think
the
that's a
email
great
address.
point. I think if you ping Giselle, if you have Giselle's email, and I can share it here if you want.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, with her specifically, that's going to be the easiest way to get a hold of her. Some of the
Right.
team just, isn't necessarily so Discord literate.
Sure, yeah, no, I can understand, and I'm not like complaining, but yeah, it's
Mhm.
also trying to contribute something, and
Yeah, it's great.
appreciate
it's
it.
great, and we love. I mean, there is a power to using Discord because then other people can learn and participate in that. So it's quite nice in that way. I just pinged Giselle's email in there, so you could grab that and.
yeah, I got it. Thanks.
Great. Any other observations or questions? We're just coming up against the top of the hour here, so want to respect people's time.
Real quick, Dan, the 2.2 upgrade, that's going to be, as you said, non-breaking changes. We just need to update the binary and everything should run smoothly.
Yep, exactly. And I'll have instructions and everything for you guys.
Okay, awesome, thanks.
Yep. There'll be plenty of communication and instructions and all that good stuff. Like Gregory was saying, you guys are the first to hear about this. So
Okay,
lots of exciting stuff coming up.
thanks.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for hopping on, and see you out in the interwebs. We'll be posting a forum post with the details of the 2.2 upgrade and our suggestions about that. So there's a few days to talk about it, and then we're going to try to get it up into governance Friday, maybe Saturday, so that we can get the voting period moving, so that we can get the upgrade. And we're sort of aiming to have NCT be minting a bunch of these Veritons as eco credits, and then using the basket module, or whatever we call it, the credit subset export selection kit. Using that to bundle them up and export them over to Osmosis for a Regen nature-based carbon trading pair, and just see how that goes, and generate some excitement, some buzz out in the interchain marketplace. Cool. All right, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Yep,
Have a
bye.
good one.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.